Alright, so now that we've covered the basics of video editing, I want to make sure that you have the right file type. And what I mean by that is whenever you export out of Expression, you're going to have a WMV file. And just about everything else is going to output a MP4, an H.264 codec. We won't get into all that. But kind of what we've talked about before is we want to make sure we have that MP4 format. And the reason we use that is because it is a small format. It's a compressed format, but it keeps the quality very, very good. And it's easily deliverable. Most browsers now will play the video inside the browser. There's a lot of advantages with it, and it has become the standard in today's online video playing world. And so what you want to do is whenever you export out, if you don't have the right file format, which should be a .mp4, what you want to do is you want to use a program called Handbrake. And Handbrake is a free program, and they have it for both Mac and Windows. Let me pull this over here real fast. So you can see down here it is free. Here's the Mac version here, and then they also have a Windows version, Ubuntu, all that kind of stuff. And they have 32-bit, 64-bit, all that kind of stuff for whatever operating system you're running. If you don't know which operating system you're running, you can try the 64-bit and it'll tell you if it doesn't work. 32-bit will work on anything. So even if you have a 64-bit operating system, the 32-bit will run on it. So that's Handbrake. It's actually handbrake.fr. And it is a open source video transcoder. So what it does is it takes your video files and converts them into an MP4. So let me pull over Handbrake here real fast. And this is the user interface whenever it first pops up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this is actually an MP4 already, but it's alright. And so what it does is it runs through everything and it scans for length. So you can see there the duration is 51 minutes and 53 seconds. It will pull out title. You can also use this to make a backup of your DVDs. Again, I'm going to recommend that you not steal. Only if you own the DVD are you allowed to copy that DVD. But you can copy that DVD into a digital form so that you can have it online. But the main reason that I use Handbrake is to convert to an MP4 format. So a couple of things that you're going to want to check whenever you're converting these, and you'll notice that I have presets over here set up. And the reason I have presets set up is so then I can just come here and click this preset there and it loads everything for me. So what you want to do is you want to make sure it's an MP4 format. You'll want to make sure it's web optimized. You're using an average bit rate of 600, a 2-pass encoding, and a H.264 advanced options panel. Make sure all that's checked. You want to use a variable frame rate, and you want to use frame rate same as source. You can mess with this, but if it's, for example, if it's a smaller frame rate for a screen recording or whatever else, then what it will do is it will upconvert that to 30 frames per second if that's what you ask for, and it will massively increase the file size. So I recommend you keep it the same as source. And what you want to do is you want to come over here to audio, and you want to check and make sure that it's AAC Core Audio. That's Core Audio is just on the Mac. Subtitles you don't have to worry about, but advanced, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come over here and change reference frames to 4 instead of 3. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier to do online videos with 4 reference frames. And then the rest of these you want to keep as defaults. You can take a screen capture of this right here, or you can always come back to this video to kind of see what your main options are. You can see that the user interface has a ton of options, and now you can see why I set the preset there. So if you want to set a new preset, you can just hit that plus right there and name the preset, and it will ask you, what you want to name it. The other option that I always come through and I always check is picture settings. And the reason I do that is because Handbrake will automatically scan the video, and if in the first 30 seconds of your video you have black bars on the sides or the bottom or the top or whatever it may be, then Handbrake will automatically try to crop that. And so you can see down here it'll say crop, and it'll tell you how many pixels it's cropping out. And it'll tell you, here's your source resolution, here's your output resolution. And so what I do is I always come and I always change all these options to 0. And the reason I do that is because a lot of times we'll have a PowerPoint presentation that whenever we play it, we have bars on the side of the window. But whenever we do the actual demo, we open up the browser takes up the whole screen. So if you let Handbrake crop it, then it will crop everything. So then whenever you get to the demo, half of your screen will be missing because it cropped that out. So I've learned this the hard way a few times, so you just kind of want to check and make sure that cropping is set to 0. Hopefully you have already done the cropping that needs to be done, if there needs to be done any at all. So just set that to 0, and then so that's why you'll notice web videos and then no cropping. So now that you're ready to go, you can actually see a preview if you want, and it will render out you just a short little preview so you can kind of see what the final video will look like, the size, all that kind of stuff. And then once you're ready to go, just hit start, and then you hit start and it will run through past 1 of 2, and then it will actually give you a pop-up notification whenever the queue is done, whenever the file is done and ready to go. And after that, you're ready for an upload to YouTube or wherever you may be uploading this. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to show you Premiere, and I'll kind of open Premiere and I'll open Final Cut for you. And the only reason I'm doing this is just for information purposes. I don't recommend that you go out and you buy Premiere or Final Cut unless you have a whole lot of money to spend, and unless you're a video pro. I mean, it doesn't make sense for, you know, the standard person to be inside Premiere Pro. It's a lot more powerful than, you know, your ScreenFlow and your Camtasia and things like that. So let's take a look at Premiere Pro. This is the window that pops up, and I'm just going to hit OK here. And this is going to be the editing interface. And so you can see you have the same, essentially the same layout as iMovie, ScreenFlow, all that kind of stuff. You have your clips over here, and then you have your timeline down here. So just looking at this, it looks a little bit more daunting than ScreenFlow and the like. And because it is, I mean, it is designed as a hardcore, you know, video editor purpose. So this is kind of what Premiere Pro looks like. You have your timeline down here, you have your final view pane here, and your clip window here. And then my personal favorite, the one that I use, is always Final Cut Pro. And this is actually Final Cut Pro X. I used both Final Cut and Final Cut Pro X. You can actually see over here it opened up the JJ Fast intro. So you can see this is kind of how I use this. And you'll notice that it has the same type of feel, at least Final Cut Pro X does, as iMovie, but you'll notice that the timeline is a lot more souped up. The program itself is a lot more souped up. And again, it is a true editing platform. It's designed to edit long-form documentaries. It's super stable and all that kind of stuff. So that is Final Cut and Premiere Pro. Again, you know, I just wanted to show you what the interfaces look like, just to kind of show you, and just for informational purposes. I don't think that you guys need Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro X. I think that the basic editing applications are going to be perfect for what this course is about, as far as, you know, simple edits and things like that. But if you're looking for a professional video person, you know, you're looking on Odesk or an outsourcing site like that, you know, you want to, if you're looking for a professional, you want to make sure that they're certified in Final Cut and Adobe Premiere. And there's a couple others out there, but if they're worth anything, those are going to be the two main options. Adobe Premiere, because it runs on both Windows and Mac, and then also, you know, Final Cut Pro, it only runs on Mac. So usually your true professionals are going to be running Mac, and they're going to be using Final Cut Pro or Final Cut Pro X. So that's a look at video editing. We've covered it from a super basic version all the way up to a little bit of advanced stuff, fancy transitions and things like that. So again, I want to reiterate the rules of video editing real fast, because this is a very difficult subject. It's hard. You can get bogged down in the details. So rule number one, always rule number one, keep it simple. Keep it as simple as possible. Someone once told me that the best worker for a job is a lazy person. And the reason for that is because they're going to find a way to do the job the fastest and the easiest way possible. And I don't know if I agree with that, but the idea is if you keep it simple, you don't get bogged down in the details. Your point here is to get your content off the video screen and into their brains. If you have all these things that are detracting from it, loud music and bangs, and this isn't a movie trailer. It's not designed to be a movie trailer. You want to keep it simple. You want to let your content and your voice speak for itself. And you want to keep it natural. The movie announcer guide, that's not how they really speak. They don't talk over themselves, and they don't have explosions going on in the background. Most of them do actually have that radio voice, that super deep voice. You want to keep it natural. That is not a natural voice for a human to have. That's an unnatural voice. And it's nice to listen to, but it can also take away from the message if all you're focused on is the voice. So rule number 3 is less is more. The fewer edits you can do, the better off you'll be, because the less time you'll spend on it. You'll probably spend more time editing whenever you first start doing these videos. But once you start doing a whole bunch of them, you'll know what works and what doesn't work as far as editing goes, and as far as doing the presentation. And you'll actually do presentations with editing in mind. So you'll start over in a sentence instead of having to chop in here and there. And it makes it easier that way. And as you go through this, you will learn faster ways to do things, and you'll learn why I abide by these 3 rules. Because otherwise, you could spend months editing one video, and that doesn't make any sense. This has been Video Editing. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time, guys.